Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Lamed Daled Amud Aleph. Starting with Lamed Gimel Amud Beis, 5 lines from the bottom. The Gemara continues to bring the daily morning service in the tradition that Abaye had. The Gemara now goes on to say Uktaris le'evarim. After it tells us that the Kitaris comes after the Hatavas Haneros. That's the sheet of Abba Shol. That means that we do Hatavas Haneros, 5 of them, and then do the Avodas Hadam of the Korban Tamid, Shchita, and the Zrikas Hadam. Then the latter 2 Hatavas Haneros of the Menorah, followed by the Kitaris. Now the Gemara tells us Kitaris comes before the Evarim. What's the source for this? Says the Gemara Detanya. Yukdom Davar shenemar baboikir the davar shelo nemar boy ela boikir echad bilvad. Since it states in regards to the Kitaris baboikir, that takes precedence over the Korban Tami, which is boikir first. It only says boikir once, rather, and therefore that's why the burning of the Evarim of the Korban Tamid come after the Kitaris. The Evarim la mincha, the burning of the limbs of the Korban Tamid, that precedes, however, the mincha that goes together with the Korban Tamid. The Tanya, what's the source for this? Minayin shelo yehei davar koidem l'tamid shel shachar. Where do I know that nothing is burnt on the outer mizbech, on the pyre, before the Evarim of the Korban Tamid? On top of Lamed Daled Amud Aleph. Talmud loymar ve'orach alel ha'oila. It states in the pasuk, and he will set upon it the oila with a hey hayidiyah. V'amarover ha'oila hi oila rishoina. The burning of the Evarim, the Korban oila of the Korban Tamid, that is the first of all of the things that are burnt on the outer mizbeach. Umincha chavivin lechavivos chavitin. The mincha of the Korban Tamid precedes, however, the mincha of the chavitin. The chavitin mincha is what's brought by the Kohen Gadol. He brings a half in the morning and a half in the afternoon. So here it states that the mincha is going to be brought before the mincha of the Kohen Gadol. Oila umincha. Since the pasuk says oila umincha, so we want to precede the mincha with the Korban Tamid that goes together with it, and then afterwards the mincha of the Kohen Gadol, the chavitin. V'chadin nisachim. Chavitin precede the nisachim, the libations. Shum mincha. Since chavitin is also referred to as a mincha, and just as the mincha of the Korban Tamid follows the burning of the Evarim of the Korban Tamid, so too then the chavitim, which is a mincha, shall precede then the nisachim. The nisachim lemusafim. The nisachim comes before the nisafim. Zevach unisachim. The pasuk says zevach unisachim in that order. So therefore, we have over here that the nisachim precedes the musafim. Umusafim lebazichin. Now bazichin, that refers to the 2 spoonfuls of the lavoina that's placed on the shulchan together with the lechem aponim. So the avoida of taking the lechem aponim as well as then taking the 2 spoonfuls of lavon and then putting it on the mizbeach, that comes after the musafim. Gemara brings a brisa that seems to be a contradiction to this. Va'atanyo bezichin koidmin lemusafin. Here it says that bezichin comes before the musafin, not the musafin before the bezichin. Gemara answers tanoi. It's a machlokes tanoim. Omar Abaye says mistabra kimanda Omar musafin koidmin bezichin. It's mistabra, says Abaye, like the opinion that says that the musaf comes before the 2 spoonfuls of the lavoina. Why? Lav mi amris baboikir lahaktim. Does it not say before that we use the word baboikir to say that it's before? That means the Kitaris is before the Tamid, because it says baboikir twice, whereas the Korban Tamid only says once, and therefore it precedes the burning of the Evarim on the Mizbeach. Then hochanami beyoim la'acher. Since baboikir means the earliest time in the morning, and then it says over here in regards to the bezichin, it says biyoim. So as a contrast to the morning, which is early, biyoim is when there's more light of the latter part of the day. So therefore that comes to say it's later on. So therefore it's more mistaber to say musaf comes before the shtei levoinois of the vazichin. What's taka the reason of the other opinion that says that the bazichin comes before the musafin? He says, I have a gzeira shava gomar chuka mechavitin. There's a gzeira shava of chuka mechavitin. It says in one pasuk, gabi chavitin says chuka, and also in regards to the bazichin, it says chavitin. So we learn now, just as the chavitin is going to be something that is earlier, that we said before, the chavitin is going to precede the nesachim. So too then the chavitin, so too then the bezichin should precede the musafin, because we have a gezerah shava of chuka. Ask the Gemara, Ime Hasam, if you're going to learn from Chavitin a Gzera Shava, then go all the way. Gomar, if that's true, then Likme Kula Milsa, then let it proceed even before, just as the Chavitin went preceded the Nesachim. Say then that the Shtei Zavich, the Shtei Bezichin, the two spoonfuls of the Levoin should also precede the Nesachim. On that the Gemara says, Mahasim Lahachi Ahani, Biyoim La'acher. For that reason, we had that it states what we brought before. That in regards to the bezichin, it says the words biyoim to teach me that it should be later on, and therefore it doesn't come before the nesachim. But however, it will come before the musafin according to this opinion. The Gemara now goes back to our Mishnah, which states that the kitares of the morning that is brought bein dam le'evorim, between the dam of the korban tamid and the evarim. Ask the Gemara Mani, who's the author of our Mishnah that states over here that the ketaris rather is burnt in the morning between the dam and the evarim. Ask the Gemara, I Rabbanon bein dam leneiros mi boile. According to the Rabbanon, they should say between the dam and the neiros. In other words, the Rabbanon hold that there's dam, and then there's two neiros that are cleaned out of the menorah. Sorry, 5 neiros that are cleaned out of the menorah, and then the ketaris is burnt, and then the last 2 neiros are prepared on the menorah. So it doesn't fit the opinion of the Rabbanon, because here in the Mishnah it says between the dam and the evarim. Abba Shaul bein neiros le'evarim boile. Abba Shaul is of the other opinion, who argues on the Chachamim and say that when it comes to the neiros, you first do 5, cleaning out 5 of the neiros. Then you have the dam that is mafsik in between. That means the avodas of the dam of the korban tamid, the shchita and the zrikas hadam. Then you have the cleaning out of the latter 2 neiros of the menorah, and finally after the neiros is the burning of the ketaris. So it can't be the opinion of Abba Shaul either, because again the Mishnah says that the ketaris is burnt between the dam and the evarim. Answers the Gemara, La'olam Rabbanan hi. Really, it is the opinion of the Rabbanan, who say once again that you have first the avodas hadam, then you have the first 5 neiros, which is prepared. Then in the middle is the ketaris, which is massive between that and the last 2 neiros. And that's the order of the Rabbanon. The Gemara says, so how does that fit into our Mishnah? Because again, our Mishnah states that the ketaris is burnt between the dam and the evarim. Answers the Gemara, Obesidra loy kimairi. That means to say that the Mishnah was not medayek in its seder. It just wanted to teach us that in contrast to the afternoon ketaris, here the ketaris is burnt before the korban tamid, between the dam and the evarim, before the burning of the evarim on the mizbeach. In contrast, the afternoon kitaras, that is burnt on the Mizbeach after the Eivarim are burnt on the Mizbeach. So it wasn't Medayik in its order exactly in terms of how the Rabbanan hold in regards to that the kitaras is mafsik bein the first 5 Neiros and the latter 2 Neiros.